It is now 4:30.
Recording in progress.
Good evening, everybody. I will now call to order the Zoning and Planning Board of Appeals. First on this evening's agenda is roll call. Our chair, Noel Halverson, is excused. I am present. Josh Cook, Stephen Schickart.
Here.
Brian Ritter.
And here.
And you should all have a copy of your agenda. I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll motion.
I'll second.
We have a motion, a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approval of minutes from the October meeting. Would entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
I so move.
And I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those are approved. Moving into our regular business, it is the Zoning and Planning Board of Appeals hears and acts on appeals for variances from city zoning code requirements. The board, members of the board are appointed, and the board acts as a quasi-judicial body during these appeals, which means that appeals are presented like a case is presented in court, and the board acts as the judge and determines whether to grant the appeal by majority vote. For each item, we will hear from the applicant and staff, as well as any additional witnesses where appropriate. If you are the applicant for an item on tonight's agenda, please come take a seat at the table when your item is called. First item on our regular business is Appeal 25-24, consideration with possible action on a variance request from William Aubrey of Consolidated Construction Company, the applicant, and Gordy Wren of Fox Converting Incorporated, the property owner, requesting to exceed rear yard setback standards in a BP Business Park Zone District at 200 Packerland Drive. This is a request from District 12, Alder Kathy Hinkvis. If you are here on this matter, please come forward.
I am William Aubrey.
Thank you. It is the goal of the Board of Appeals to provide and conduct a hearing that is fair in form, appearance, and substance. To ensure that this hearing satisfies these goals, each member of the Board of Appeals, please confirm the following for this appeal by stating "I confirm." Number one, I do not have a conflict of interest in this matter.
I confirm.
I confirm.
I confirm. Number two, I have not received any communication from any person or party about this matter.
I confirm.
I confirm.
I confirm. First, we will hear from staff and then the applicant. John, please state your name for the address, name and address for the record.
John Leroy, 100 North Jefferson.
You typically not do, I'm
I
sorry.
typically not, but it's okay.
That's in my script here. And do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
I do. All right, so looking at the request here, one variance is in play here from section 44-802, table 44-12, rear yard setback within a business BP district. The minimum requirement for improvements is 15 feet. The applicant is requesting a 6-foot setback. So this is the satellite view of the property and existing conditions where right now there's a fire line that happens to be about 6 feet or so from the property line. And they are looking to do an addition to the building for some improvements over here in the southwest corner, which we're going to see on this site plan. With that in mind, the applicant is seeking to needs to have a fire line that goes to the back of the property still for fire access. And they are looking to have the addition and then keep a drive that is 6 feet from the rear property line. Within a BP district, whether it's building or improvements like a driveway, the requirement is still to have a 15-foot rear yard setback. And with this in mind, because they're putting in new asphalt back that way, this is a new improvement. Thus, any new improvements would mean keeping like a driveway or building being 15 feet off of the property line. Applicant is requesting to keep this at 6 feet, essentially the way that it is currently speaking, and then having the building being placed up close or just adjacent to the building addition to the fire lane that is in the back. As you'll see here, this is the USPS property, also business park. Back up this way, this is Loden's residential R1 properties, but the addition parts are not near that, so any buffers are not, that are adjacent to R1 properties are not in play over in this area. So when reviewing this, as far as strategies to potentially avoid this variance, it would mean reducing the building addition to allow for enough room to have that required fire lane, have the 15-foot buffer, so essentially reduce the building addition by about 9 feet to allow it. That would come with the compliance, but the applicant is seeking relief to allow the 6-foot setback.
Thank you. Any questions? Hearing none. Sir, please state your name and address for the record.
William Aubrey, my home address.
Home or business address.
Home is W8716 Spring Road, Hortonville, Wisconsin.
And do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
Yes.
And why should our Board of Appeals grant your variance request?
Well, the owner is trying to maximize the use of the property for his business, and the current, so we're asking principally just to allow the fire lane to remain where it is in the current condition. The abutting properties, the USPS property is essentially on the property line with their pavement or improvements. So we're not asking to change the condition that exists today, we just want to maintain. And on an ordinance, it's 15 feet. So the owner feels strongly that for his business, that every square foot is important and he's trying to achieve it. So, and again, we're not asking, the building is well beyond the 15 feet, so it's just the paving, so it's nothing above grade that would be within that 15-foot setback.
Any questions from the board?
We don't have
All right, well, with that, we will now take this under consideration. When we determine whether to grant a variance, the board must consider 5 factors: preservation of intent, exceptional circumstances, preservation of property rights, absence of detriment, and hardship. Those are the only elements we as a board should be considering. So I will defer to my colleagues for initial discussion.
Well, I mean, so looking at this, if you don't mind, I'll take a kind of a shot at this. You know, preservation of intent, you know, I don't think this variance would necessarily be inconsistent with the spirit and purpose of intent, especially where it is, and considering you know, this is essentially preserving the existing conditions for a fire lane, which is, I mean, this is a paper operation, so that seems particularly important to me. Then exceptional circumstances, this one I have a little bit harder time with. I don't know that the circumstances are exceptional. This is one that maybe one of my fellow board members can tackle. I'm not really sure how to fall on that. Preservation of property rights is easy enough. Clearly, in order to be able to add to the building the way that the owner wants to add to the building, that would be necessary, and be able to get the maximum use out of the property. I think that's pretty clear. Additive of detriment, I don't think there's any detriment to this. I mean, it's basically keeping the existing structure, keeping the existing road the way it is, just maintaining it, and achieving a you know, and this process has to be gone through in order to make it legal. And then hardship. The alleged difficulty in complying with the municipal code is not self-imposed nor solely economic. I don't think it is indeed the case there. but exceptional circumstances, I'm not sure about that one.
And I would entertain motion to reopen the floor, reopen discussion.
I so moved.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
One thing I just want, one of the reasons why we're up against the backside is because the property is at, right up against the maximum coverage for impervious on the property. And there is no other place that, we looked at options of, tearing the office off the front, building up in the front. We looked at a variety of different scenarios for where to put the building and to get that the square footage to max out the property use. And that was the only location where it physically would work and still not exceed some other portion of the ordinance. Just so we did look at other options.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I do actually, I have a question. So we're essentially keeping the fire lane where it is right now, is that correct?
Yep.
Okay, that doesn't necessarily help us with the exceptional circumstances, but it just, it's a reason why I think we should pass or approve whatever is being, asked, because besides the addition, we're keeping things where they are. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean, that makes some sense. I just, this building, was this built by Fox and Kirby?
No, this used to be the M-Plants building
That's what I thought.
before Fox, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I don't know, do you guys think that, the inability to remedy without violating, asking for other variances is exceptional?
I mean, just trying to think it through a bit. It may be exceptional in that there seems to be almost an entitlement to max out your impervious surface. And were it not for this fire lane, everything else would be intact. It's been there. I think it's not a grandfathered issue because it's new asphalt. Where
Yeah.
if you were just sealing over the top of it, we only wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation. I think that, given the way this site has been developed, and there not being any other way to get fire protection to the backside of that building, I think it's arguably exceptional in that we need to make sure that there's safety access to it, and there's no other reasonable access back there.
I'm still open to talk, if we didn't have to asphalt it, which is required by the ordinance, we wouldn't, which means we wouldn't be improving it. So we're required by ordinance to pave that. It would just assume not, if we don't have to.
We're not going to wade down that road.
Well, I mean, but we're being required to pave, we're being required to do the improvement as part of the issue, so.
Yeah, I think Josh, I think your reasoning works for me. And if it's all right with you, I'll move to approve the variance as requested.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Yes, I will second.
And do we have any further discussion at all? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Very good.
Okay.
We'll work with staff to square the last details away here, and appreciate you coming in.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Excuse me. Moving on to Appeal 25-25, consideration with possible action on a variance request from Dwayne Peterson, the applicant, and Mike Delaney, property owner, requesting to exceed setback standards for the placement of an accessory building of an adjacent front yard on a corner lot in an R3 varied density district at 1201 North Webster Avenue. This is Alder Presley in District 6. Working through our conflicts here. Number one, please swear or affirm that you do not have a conflict of interest in this matter.
I do.
I do.
I affirm. And number 2, I have not received any communication from any person or party about this matter.
I affirm.
I confirm. We will first hear from staff.
Sort of,
I'm sorry, I thought you were sworn in.
No, I
sworn in
think for everyone.
the first time. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give will be the truth?
I do. Okay, so what we're looking at here is section 44-554, table 44-2, note E for corner properties. The side facade of a corner building adjoining a public street shall maintain the front setback of the adjacent property fronting the same public street. There's also some caveats, there's no such structure, be one half of the required front yard setback, but there is such structures existing on Reber. So the applicant requests to place the building, accessory building, within the front yard setback of corner property. The neighboring property to the west, fronting the same street along Reber, has an offset of 31 feet for its front yard. The applicant seeks to place an accessory building in the front yard setback at a distance of 18 feet. So this is the overall neighborhood itself, corner lot at the northeast corner of Reber Street and North Webster Avenue. As some background on this property requested a conditional use permit for the allowance of a second accessory structure that exceeds 150 square feet. You can do that through a CUP, so long as your building can meet the rest of the overall requirements in the site. The one part where it's not is this request for a setback variance, and so that's why we're here today. So this is the block itself, and we're looking at an aerial to where you can see the existing garage on the property, and then the 2 other buildings on the block, just for reference as far as how far setback. Both of these buildings are set back approximately 31 feet from the right-of-way, whereas this principal structure is 14 feet from the right-of-way. This will give you some reference points as far as looking from the street north on Reber. This is the backyard of the property, the existing garage, and the front of the home off to the west. Perhaps a little bit better view as far as trying to establish a plane view. This is the front of the home, 14 feet or so from the right-of-way, 31 feet for these 2 homes back off here to the west. And the applicant is seeking to place, essentially where this trailer is parked, looking to place an accessory garage. Now, that garage has already been partially built. I'll go to those photos right now, as supplied by the applicant. And so this was found in progress by inspection staff. There was complaint, and it was noted then to stop further construction on this building until all approvals were granted. And one of the issues that comes into play is where the placement is for this building. So going into what was provided in your packet for the site plan, this is an overall site plan of the property, existing home, driveway, existing garage, partially completed accessory building, and then the rear yard of the property. This is a view that's getting a bit more in depth, trying to get some dimensions back over to the existing right-of-way here in Reber, noting that the shed at 240 square feet is 18 feet off of the right-of-way, and then there is room back behind the building. This is another image of what the applicant intends for how this would look like here into the future. As noted, these are some photos that have been taken by the applicant showing the existing construction progress on this property. As far as where this building can go, beyond the setback, this building can work on the property. But the problem is it has to be beyond this plane. That's where the code notes that an accessory building would have to go beyond that front plane for a structure like this. And so with that in mind, there is room to put a 240 square foot building back over this way, and it would be code. It just wasn't done initially. It is noted by the applicant that the area in the rear of the property is lower compared to the front of the property. It does appear to be somewhere around 1 foot lower. This area in the past, the entire parcel and neighborhood was a part of a floodplain but FEMA removed that area in 2020 through their updates. So to note, this elevation is at 583, and then this area around here is around 582. This area right here probably accounts for the tree that is on the property. So if you go back to views, there's your foot difference as to where things are at. So as far as options, place it behind this garage, there is space. Otherwise, the code would note that for a structure like this, to maintain the front yard setback, for any expansions would have to be at the plane of this building adjacent or behind it.
Thank you. Any questions for staff?
Okay, so the construction was started without a permit? Or
Correct.
only with the conditional use permit?
It was started without a permit at that point. In discussions with the applicant, a conditional use permit would be necessary as well.
Okay.
If there's a conditional use permit, we run that through to Plan Commission and Common Council before you see it. If they were to deny a conditional use permit, then you wouldn't see this at all. But the condition from the conditional use permit was to meet all aspects of code. If the building were to be moved, they can meet aspects of code. It could happen. Or would have to be applying for a variance and presenting the argument to this board.
So, just procedurally, the council and the other board could still turn this down?
No, they approved.
Oh, they approved the condition.
They approved the CUP with the condition of
Gotcha.
either you meet site plan requirements, or if it is very here, you have to secure a variance.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, the rest of the property, as far as impervious surfaces and place to place, or just room on the property to place a building like this and still meet setbacks, exists on this property. They meet all the requirements besides this issue.
Okay.
Are we able to see, or is it included, the conditional use permit?
I did not include it, but the conditional use permit was essentially stating that, I'll remind this back, for conditional uses, if you're over 150 square feet for your second accessory building, you must conform to the CUP request. In that request, essentially, if you meet all the standard requirements, setbacks, impervious surface, sizing a building compared to your, so there's a provision that your principal structure total square footage has to be at least the size, if not more, than your accessories. You can't outweigh your accessory buildings compared to your principal structure. As long as you meet those requirements, you get approved. So in this case, the condition was meeting typical requirements, and if you don't, i.e. this was placed in the setback, if you want to keep it in that spot, you would need to prove a hardship and receive a variance. If not, the building could be moved somewhere else on the property that could fit, and that part of the property would be with the existing conditions. There's 31 feet from the garage back up to the property line. That leaves a 20 by 12 foot structure. Knowing you need to have at least 2.5 feet from this property line here, and then at least 3 feet from the garage. That leaves 5.5 feet. 31 minus 5.5 is 25.5 feet. The building itself is 20 feet in length. Additionally, you could also flip it to where, rather than being in a, let's say, an east-west orientation, flip it to a north-south, and you'd still have room to meet the setback conditions on this site.
Thank you.
Any other questions? As now we will hear from the applicant. Please state your name and address for the record.
I'm Dwayne Peterson. I'm the one who lives at the property there.
And do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. Yep.
Okay, I was going to apply for a permit for all this. This just happened out of the blue. I had a problem with the guy downstairs. Okay, I need a place to lock my stuff. I do the yard, I do the snow blowing, lawnmowers, leaf blower, weed eater. I had them in the other garage and I got messed with, be it from the guy downstairs, which I believe, but I can't prove. Or people walking by on the street going up. There's a lot of people going up to Paul's Pantry. The door isn't closed in the garage. Anyway, stuff has been stolen. I need a place to lock my Okay, where John wants me to put it is in the back corner. John, can you pull up a picture for us on that, please?
You want to
No. Right there, right there. The far left corner, and I got a witness here, my neighbor's here. When it's spring and we get rain, the water lays in there. In the springtime, we get a foot of water in the far left corner by the fence. I've talked to the lady behind me, they're not here either. They're very, very little Spanish, English. But if I was to put the shed there, I had not only have to build up, and in John's comment earlier, it's almost a foot lower than where the shed is sitting. That's why I haven't completed it. But the water lays there. And I had an issue last year. Every year, even after they did the new Webster, the water in the backyard didn't help matters. It still lays every year, and if we get a rain on a weekend, the water lays there continuously. So I gotta really build up there, then that leaves an access as we're looking at this right here, cutting the curb, and this is just to store my personal belongings, my snowblower, lawnmower, motorbike stuff in there and lock it. The water lays there, and if I to put the shed there, the water is gonna go over to the left as we see it, and my other friends in the back, they already have a water problem, so it's making their water problem worse. People on the left here has water problems, so what do we do with the water problem? I've not ever had a water problem. I've been living here since 2011. The landlord is my best friend. I'm going to do a BA loan eventually to buy this house. Where the shed is located at this point in time, it's never been, I've been there since 2011, it's never been wet, it's never had water laying there. That's why I just put gravel on there and I went up. If I was to put it in the other place, I'm not only creating a problem with both neighbors for the water runoff, and you guys don't understand that a little bit more than me. That's why it is where it is, and I just stopped working because I got the permit and everything, and now the location is the issue here, and I have a neighbor to tell you if he wants to speak on the terms of the water. We've all seen the water, it's really bad there. My basement, I change 2 sump pumps a year sometimes. And I'm a maintenance guy. I build houses, I flip houses, so I'm on top of things. The shed is paid for. As I go, I don't drink or drug. I laugh. That's my money for my shed. That's really all I've got. You guys got any questions for me? You guys, I don't know.
Are there any questions?
Why did you start this without a permit?
I was planning this, I told my nephews, they're all farm boys, and it went up in a weekend. I said, I don't even have the paperwork going yet, I had it all filled up but not brought to you guys yet. And then boom, it went up. None of us drank, so I said, I got it, so we just stopped, and I talked to John, and who's the other, he's not here, the other guy. I said, what do I gotta do now? And so that's where we are, we're here now.
I don't have any other questions.
I understand that we may have other folks here to speak on this topic.
Well, I could speak for the water part.
If you're here to speak on this, you
sorry.
should come on forward and we'll get you, get a little background information and get you sworn in. Can you please state your name and address for the record?
Steve Kunis, I live at 920 River Street, about where that picture is being taken from.
And do you swear or affirm that your testimony that you're about to give will be the truth? All right.
Well, he's got the same problem there as I have in my backyard. When it rains, you get a couple inches down. Well, he gets more, but, and it stays there for a week, if not longer, especially in the spring and sometimes in the fall. So I can see where his shed is and where the water is from my kitchen window. So I'm just here to say that, yeah, it does take on water and it doesn't drain too quick.
Any other questions? Any other witnesses at all? Well, then, at this point, we will begin deliberations and take a vote.
This one's tough. I think preservation of intent, we can get through. It is a side lot, and the house itself already sticks out in there as a corner lot. It's always tougher to get on a corner lot. I just don't know if this is exceptional circumstances. Or if there's hardship that isn't economic.
Yeah, that's where I'm hung up. It seems to me like it's primarily economic, somewhat self-imposed. There's places on this lot to do this work. Yes, it's going to require some more fill. I haven't heard from anybody that this can't be complied with. This seems like the most convenient place, but not the only place that this can happen. That's where I'm having a difficult time.
Because it's, I mean, really the two choices are the fill, which is a problem with the neighbors, that's probably not all that useful, or to drain it. That's my difficulty with it, is the hardship. I think I can get around absence of reservation of property rights and absence of detriment. Exceptional circumstances I have a hard time with as well. There is a place for it. It's just not, it just requires more work than the place being passed. And that's essentially an economic idea.
I don't disagree at all.
Because
Yeah.
I'd love to hear how a color argument for that. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, unfortunately, with the conditional use permit, it was, the two options we had were grant a variance or build it in a different spot on the property. And I agree, I cannot get past exceptional circumstance or hardship in our test on this. I certainly empathize or sympathize. I think a lot of the blocks in Green Bay are very similar, where in the spring we get water pooling up. I know where I live, we have that same problem. But it just sounds like there is a place to put this, and that seems like the better maybe not the better option, but those are the words I'm going to use, rather than the variance in this circumstance.
Because we have to fulfill all 5 conditions in that order.
I think perhaps here, where we're going here, do we have anybody comfortable making a motion?
I motion to deny the application.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
I will second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion, meaning that the variance request is denied?
Aye.
Aye.
So what do I do now, guys? I just spent every dime I got to do that. It's gonna be $3,000 to lift that up a foot. And then the next thing you guys are gonna want me to do is to cut the curb for access. I don't want access to, this is a shed.
But let me be clear, we don't work for the city, we're volunteers. We don't get paid, we're here on our own time, we're citizens with the houses in the city just like you. But we have to make legally, which is why he's here, we have to make all 5 of those, and we don't make it. I'm sorry.
Okay, so what should I do then?
We can
And we
certainly
can't
work
give
with
you
John.
legal-
I don't know where to go from here, that's why I'm here.
And we'll have an opportunity to talk about that later.
Right.
I need to talk about it now because I got off work early today to come here. I sat here last week for 3 hours and we never talked about nothing but temporary housing. I don't know what to do. And I can't tear the shed down. Winter's coming, and the guy downstairs is ready to die, and I don't do this, I'm gonna get tickets from the city for not taking care of the yard and this and this. So I don't know what to do.
Sir, so come in tomorrow and we can
I
discuss.
gotta work tomorrow, John. I'm in Oshkosh all week. I don't have time for this part of it.
Well, this was denied right here, so we can discuss as far as inspection staff options, as far as, essentially, it's removing the building right now, or moving it to a space, putting a site plan through that would meet site plan requirements. I know you don't want to do that, but those are the options at this point. And we can discuss possibilities as far as what timeline procedures would be.
Can you give me till spring to move it over there?
I
I'm
can't
having
bring-
my, John, you guys, oh my God. I don't know what to do. I'm having my hip surgery and I'm gonna be laid up for 3 months. That's why we were trying to push this through and we talked about this. I don't know what I can do.
So please feel free, I know you're working tomorrow, but to come on down and discuss with inspection staff as far as what the next process would be as far as enforcement on the matter, okay? And we can try to discuss timelines.
So my landlord, everybody gets letters but me. My landlord's you guys are gonna start fining him now for this?
Sir, as far as this discussion right here, this is one not to have at this board right now. The board is-
I don't know one meeting from the other, John. I don't, I'm sorry. If you get letters, can you send them to me too, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. We will now take up Appeal 25-26, consideration with possible action on a request from Doreen and David Depry, applicant and property owner, requesting to exceed side yard fence height standards in a residential district at 1214 13th Avenue. That's Alden Johnson, District 9. Come on up. And we will first hear from staff, and do you state or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be true?
I do. And then.
I'm sorry, yeah,
No
well,
worries.
see, this is what you get with the new guy. You're bargain shopper tonight. Board members, do you swear or affirm that you, or excuse me, can you confirm that you do not have a conflict of interest in this matter?
I confirm.
I confirm.
I confirm. And can you confirm that you've not received any communication from any person or party about this matter?
Confirm.
I confirm.
I confirm.
Okay.
You've already been sworn at, so let's dive right in.
Okay, so what's in play here is section 44-450. Fence location and height. Fences located in a side yard shall not exceed 6 feet in height. This is for residential properties. Applicant is requesting to place a fence at a total height of 8 foot 9 inches tall, placed along the south property line, located approximately 21 feet from the right of way, or the front plane of the front of the building. And then proceeding to the west, approximately 64 feet until you get to the front of the neighboring garage. We'll show that here now in the site plan as before. So 21 feet or so from the property line, going back 60 plus feet to where you see here the northeast corner of the neighboring garage. So this is the block on 13th Avenue. St. Joseph's Church is down over here, and with the homes in a typical 45 foot width in this area. In this situation, it is a shared driveway, and applicant has already put up a fence that goes along the length of the side yard, that 64 feet or so. So this is a street view from back in August of 2019 to try to give a reference point before the fence was put up of the neighboring properties between 1214 and 1218. What you see here was from a complaint that was issued back in October. The fence was put up without a permit, and you are seeing this pergola kind of carport-like structure that was going from the fence to the building. Applicants have said they have taken this down. This is not in question. do not look at that part, but they are seeking to keep the fence in place though, along the side property line. So this would be the site plan that was put forth. There is a gate, you can see that back over this way, but otherwise wooden fence along the property line. Right now, the current fence is still at 7'6". They want to go up higher to 8'9" from this view. You're only seeing 7'6". They would even to add on to it more so. And as noted, for residential properties, for either a side or rear yard, the max height for a fence would be 6 feet in height. Just also for comparison to when it comes to our commercial districts, the max height in those type of situations is 8 feet for fences. So there's a bit more leeway for non-residential uses, but for talking residential property, 6 feet is the standard. So what they're searching to do is to allow for a variance that would be 2 foot 9 inches taller than what is the maximum allowance by code.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for John? Hearing none, we will next hear from the applicant. Please state your name and address for the record.
Doreen Deckery, 1214 13th Avenue.
And do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth? And why should we grant your variance?
If you go back, first of all, like to where all the stuff is, the pergola, we did not get a permit for that. My husband took it down and it's back to normal condition. Our bad, I was gonna put grapevines in there. We all own both properties, so we weren't thinking. So our bad for that, that's down. And, but for the fence, if you go back to so when we purchased that property, we bought it from the church, the next door neighbor. So when we were there, after he moved out, he said how there were some things so you can see into the windows. And it's like, then we really thought, well, we could see into the windows. So then when we had both houses, we decided that we would just put that up there. The house isn't rented out right now, but eventually that is our plan. And, or to have it, we're looking at probably maybe if there's a nurse. I mean, I'm not looking at to make a fortune or anything, but that's not the thing. So if someone does live there, you can see right into our kitchen and vice versa, they can see into ours. The houses are real narrow. I mean, the lots are so narrow. That's the way it used to be, I guess, and we've lived here for 30-some years and we love our neighborhood and everything, and that's just one thing to make it better for us to stay. But yes, we did it without getting the variance to just let them put it out there.
Any questions for the applicant? Very good. Well, we will now deliberate. I'll kick it off. I don't see that there's anything particularly unique to the lot. I don't think there's any exceptional circumstances from my perspective. I mean, every lot in Maple is 45 feet wide. I think that fence that's more than 2.5 feet taller than what the zoning code allows for is a pretty exceptional ask when with respect to the applicant. The most wider window shade could probably address the issue. I grew up in a lot in a house that had a shared driveway. I get the issue, but I don't know if this is the way to solve it. So that's kind of what I'm brought up against.
Yeah, I don't see any way forward to this. It doesn't meet any of the requirements. I just can't argue it down the line. I wish I could, but I can't.
I mean, the fence, just looking at pictures, 6 feet is the ordinance, and is that possible to just, you know, cut it off? I know that doesn't serve one of the purposes you're looking for. But
It's not that
that's-
tall right now. I mean, right now. yeah.
But it's over 6 feet.
I'm sorry, I wasn't supposed to.
No, that's okay, well, I don't know, but it's over 6 feet, that's correct,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know how we meet the conditions, yeah.
Yeah, we can't meet our legal conditions for this.
Maybe, when can I talk or can I do that now? Since it's
Well,
such a big-
we're kind of in deliberation
So not me.
phase
Okay.
right now. I would entertain a motion to reopen the floor.
I'm motion open.
I'll second.
Okay.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
So with this, even with blinds, there's blinds there. My blinds here are up in here, so you can see through the blinds. Whenever in our bedroom, you can also see through the blinds. So,
But, I mean, you do know there are blackout blinds, there are blinds you can't see through, right?
correct. So, like on our other side of the house, we put in new windows. We don't have any windows on that side of the house. So like on the north side. I also think it adds beauty to the neighborhood. We get compliments on it. I also grow vines up on it. And so it's not just for that, it's for privacy. And it's for beauty. It looks beautiful.
So our problem is we have those 5 legal conditions. I mean, I agree with you.
Okay.
You're right. You said your husband built this?
Yeah.
He's done a wonderful
We
job.
both
It's a
did.
nice
Yes, so we
looking
do
fence.
that.
But we have to reach these 5 conditions here.
Okay.
And there's nothing exceptional about your property. There's nothing exceptional about the circumstances. Plenty of people have these narrow windows look in. My last house, my first house was like that with neighbors.
Uh-huh.
And you're asking us to issue an exception in the city code for that. In order for us to do that, we have to be able to meet all of these exceptions, these reasons, and we can't.
Let's see. So the other thing is, we don't share a driveway. There is, the property line comes in between.
That's fine.
I just didn't say that. So it's not like coming
Yeah,
in our
that
driveway.
doesn't really come into play.
Okay.
I mean, you can have a fence there, it just can't be more than 6 feet high.
So has it ever been approved for a fence that was, what conditions need to be met for me? Let's probably have to take that offline.
Yeah, I mean, we are tasked with looking at the circumstances as they exist right now.
Uh-huh.
And
And anything for hardship as far as being able to see in my window? I mean,
It's not
that's,
hardship.
that's not.
It's not hardship.
At this point, I would call the question and entertain a motion motion of this variance request.
I will motion to disapprove the request.
A second.
We have a motion, we have a second, we have any further discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you for coming in, I'm sorry to
Yeah.
be the bearer of bad news, but appreciate you coming out.
Okay, thank you.
I don't think we have enough people in the audience for the last 2 variances requests we have, but we will next consider Appeal 25, excuse me, I skipped, I can't read tonight either. Appeal 25-27, consideration with possible action on a variance request from Abigail Jackson, applicant and property owner, requesting to exceed side yard setback standards for a driveway that can exceed maximum driveway width standards for a 1 or 2 family home at 1130 Charnel Avenue. This is Alder Ritterbusch, District B. Come on up. And while you are coming up, board members, can you affirm that you do not have a conflict of interest in this matter?
I affirm.
I affirm.
I affirm. And can you affirm that you have not received any communication from any person or party about this matter?
I affirm.
I affirm.
And staff, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
I do.
I think I did it all so far so good on the last go-around tonight. Please.
I like it there. All right, so just a heads up, we received a communication from a neighbor before the publishing, so I just want to hand it out to each one of the members as a reference point during this. So there are two parts of the code that we're looking at for a driveway reconstruction expansion. Section 44-1746, sub 2, sub A, minimum parking setback for single-family residential driveways on narrow lots. This lot is less than 60 feet. Width and frontage driveway shall be set back a minimum of 1 foot from side lot line. There's a caveat to the code, just to give you a heads up. On lots that where available side area prohibits the ability to create and maintain an 8-foot wide driveway, the required setback is below the setback may be administratively reduced or limited. So it's 50 feet wide, this lot is, but there is room where the building is located to have a driveway that, and a setback that would be, both meet the minimum requirement, which is 8 feet wide, and still have a setback for a property. The second part here would be section 44-1746, sub 3, sub B, where no garage exists. The maximum driveway width shall be 12 feet. This driveway does not lead directly to a garage. It leads in part to a garage, but with that, the applicant is seeking a driveway which is a maximum of 13.5 feet wide rather than the 12-foot minimum or maximum requirement. Okay, so this is the property itself here. We have a shared driveway that exists right now, and they're looking to rebuild on this driveway, but there is room to have individual driveways on this area, in this property. What has occurred is applicants took down the single stall garage, put up a new 2-stall garage. And looked to get that garage built here this year. Did not have plans specifically for a driveway with the garage build, but this site can support putting in a driveway. So the garage was approved by building inspection folks, yes, move forward. And that garage shifted approximately, so this wasn't quite on the proper line before, it looks like, but it shifted about 8 to 10 feet back over this way. So it's a 2-stall garage, more centered in the middle of the driveway itself. And that's what leads to the idea of it not being exactly leading to the garage. Whereas in this setup, with the garage being so close to the proper line, driveway went straight to it. So this is a view from 2023. You can see that single stall garage. In here as well, you can see there's a gas meter, there's a side porch for a side entry that is raised above. There's some plantings that occur right here, and it is a shared driveway. These are some photos that were just supplied by the applicant, just to give some reference as to what's happening here. There's that new garage that is set up from the side yard, not leading quite to where the driveway lines up with Shawano Avenue at the right-of-way. Some additional photos showing these conditions. Clearly, the driveway needs to have improvements upon it. It's beginning to disintegrate, and you can see what would be a shared area between two sites here, but also an area that could, in theory, be an actual split area where you have some vegetation occurring between the sites, and you could have a side yard setback. So, with this site plan, very detailed from the applicant, might be a little bit confusing, but I appreciate what they put for effort in this to try to give every last little bit of detail on this. So I'll give references to what's happening here. Over here on the right, that's Shawano Avenue. Over here on the x-axis, that's their western property line. They went and measured foot by foot where they believe the property line is at to see how far they believe their driveway, which they're looking to take from the property line, essentially to where the building or where the existing driveway is at, and keeping it in place that way. So they're reconstructing. When they're reconstructing, they have, in theory, room to make this driveway to work with between 8 and 12 feet and still have a 1-yard side yard setback on this property. But they are looking to keep this as a shared driveway between the neighboring property and this property. So, when looking at this, what we examined as far as being the widest width is about 13 and a half feet at this point. We're not going to count this concrete area in front of the porch because you need to have a landing to establish an actual walkway to a porch. So the widest it gets is 13 and a half feet back over this way. And this is from essentially where there's a fence panel. We're going to see on right there, fence panel. That would be what's in play. And then the second part of the site plan is the angle of the driveway to where the garage plans show it being 24 feet wide and lying approximately 8 feet or so from the western side property line. The driveway width approaching the garage is 20 feet. So keep in mind with code, essentially this front garage can last in a plane going back to Shawano Avenue. There happens to be a house in the way, so it can't go through, but you can have your driveway leading directly back out towards the right of way. They're looking to meander a bit to go to the garage itself. So that's where this gets to be a max of 13 and a half feet wide. We're going to take it. My interpretation is back over here, back off this way behind the where it gets wider back up this way. That's leading at that point directly to the garage. Over here, it is a bit wider than what is allowed by code. So code, remember, for a driveway that is not leading directly to the garage, has to be between 8 and 12 feet wide, 8 minimum, 12 maximum. And so in parts, the widest part is 13 and a half feet, and they're looking for a shared driveway in a situation where it's not necessarily required to have one. As you see in front of you, there is a letter from the neighboring property where they are asking for a shared driveway to exist for accessibility and convenience for both the parcel in question and the neighboring parcel. So they would like to see the request that is put forth be put into play. Additionally, when it comes to shared driveways, if a variance were to be approved and new construction will be done, there is a requirement in the code that for shared driveways, a legal document be recorded with the Register of Deeds, functionally allowing an agreement for an easement between both parties that the city would have to approve. So we don't necessarily prescribe the details other than stating that both parties allow for ingress egress through the shared party. They can get into further details as far as maintenance, both long-term, as far as reconstructing a driveway in the future, or near-term, as mundane as shoveling for a winter event.
Any questions for staff?
Yeah, so if they had built the new garage where the single car was, wouldn't they violate the side yard setback for the garage?
They'd have to move it 2.5 feet off the side yard setback. So where it was before would have been non-conforming.
Legal non-conforming.
Yeah, and you tear it down, you gotta get conforming.
Non-conforming.
Yeah.
But by doing that, so they either put it back in the spot where it was and get a variance for the building, or they get a variance for the driveway. In order to keep it the way it's been for however long it's been here.
Well, if it was leading directly to it, the 13 and a half part would not come to play.
Okay.
But what would still come to play is you're asking for a shared driveway on a driveway setup that is beyond 9 feet. So you have enough room to place in an 8 foot wide minimum driveway length and still have that minimum 1 foot side yard setback on this parcel.
You said the gas meter's on the side of the house there?
Yes, there is. Trying to find a photo of it.
I think I saw it over there.
Yeah, you can see it.
Yeah, I can kind of see it there on the front, yeah. And the gutters from the, well, I'll ask her when it comes up for that. Okay, and the city doesn't have any record of any current easement agreements or?
Very common forest choices like that.
Okay. That's all the question I have.
Any other questions? Well, then we will take a deep breath there for a second. We will then move on to the applicant. Man, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth? Why should we grant? Oh, I'm sorry, please state your name and address.
Abigail Jackson and 1130 Shawano Avenue.
And why should we grant this variance?
I've owned 1130 Shawano Avenue since 2001, so I've lived there about 24 years. My neighbors have a duplex. Their driveway is pretty narrow. We have worked together with them over the years to maintain clear driveways to enable residents and guests to navigate easier. The driveway is mostly gravel on my side, and I've always wanted to get it paved to fix the unevenness of the surface and to make it better to drive on for everyone. These properties are unique in that they're quite narrow, and the owners and tenants of our two properties that are next to each other have always had to navigate around the buildings and the other vehicles moving in or out of parking areas. I just want to note, like, the garage that we had, the one stall, it wasn't, we weren't able to park in it, so we always parked on the side of the house. So their cars always had to go, you know, next to ours to get to their driveways and their backyard garage. Since we got the new garage, we can park in there now, but they still need to navigate that area. And we need to kind of keep this navigation kind of available in the same way possible going forward. Because there is kind of a safety issue. If the 2-foot grass barrier had to come in play, it would make the driveway navigation a lot more difficult for my neighbors because of their narrow driveway. And a fully paved space would allow more room for error coming in from Shawano Avenue, which is really busy. A more consistent surface for maintenance and a safer travel experience for all the vehicles moving in and out, entering and exiting the driveways. The 2-foot grass barrier would likely get driven on several times a day if it was there. The grass would be difficult to maintain because it's constantly being driven on. The uneven surface may not be safe, especially in the winter. We have discussed with my neighbor and agreed upon a shared driveway easement so cars can enter and leave easily and cars can turn around easily in each other's driveways. I also have my boyfriend here who would also like to speak as well.
And before we do that, I want to make sure that we haven't left any unaddressed questions first.
So I was gonna ask that earlier, on that picture there, your downspouts go in the front yard then? I think I can see it there.
There's one going out in the front yard, and then there's one that, like, behind the stairs on the side there.
Okay.
There's one going into the driveway.
Okay.
And as you can see,
That's another thing that would be something that I have for a car.
yeah, it's all gravelly, and I don't know if you've ever had a gravel driveway, but it's a real pain in the winter.
I think I heard you say that you are in discussions with the neighboring owner about a shared driveway agreement?
Yes.
And why is that not taken care of, or is that being drafted right now? What is the status on that?
We would like to draft something like that. It's not there yet.
Motion, looks like staff has some input on that issue. Motion to reopen the floor.
Second.
I would motion we have.
We have a motion, a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So when we were in consultation with the applicants, we noted that this would have to be done if there was an approval for a shared driveway, that based on the code, there needs to be an easement between the two property owners. But because it's not known if this variance would be granted, to not go through an attorney at this point to actually draft one up. But we've made it known that for the sake of evidence here, if your neighbor is serious about this, they should present some sort of documentation in the form of a letter to present to this board that they are serious about this matter.
Very good. Any further questions for the applicant? Otherwise, we will hear from our additional witness. Before doing so, I would entertain a motion to open the floor for additional testimony.
So moved.
And I'll second
We have
it.
a motion, a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Come on up. And before you tell us what you've got to say, could you please state your name and address for the record?
Sure, my name is Paul Niederer, and I live at 1130 Shawano Avenue.
And do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
I do.
And what can you tell us?
So I actually took a lot of these photos, and one of the things, John, if you could go back to the GIS one that shows both properties, but that one right there. So there is the green lettering, so it says 1138A on that garage, and then there's that green lettering there. So that's kind of a turnaround for most of the cars. So pretty much everybody that lives at both of these properties turns their car around. I back out because mine's the white vehicle in that picture. So at that location, right where those two drives meet, is one of those photos with the kind of screwed up concrete there. And Shawano is a busy road, right? We see with the DOT stuff that they're doing that it's 9,000 plus cars a day go on Shawano. And one of the things that they're talking about is a potential change in how Shawano Avenue is going to look in the next few years here, where it could go down to 3 lanes of traffic with a 2-way turn lane in the middle. So you got a left turn lane and then just 2 lanes of traffic. So one of the things that we did when we looked at this was we tried to find other properties that looked similar to ours. And we found them, but they're on side streets. So the traffic is a lot less and the traffic is slower. Shawano is between 25 and 35 miles an hour, according to posted speed limits. In reality, most people go 35 to 50 miles an hour. It's kind of a drag strip, and there's lots of emergency vehicles. So having to back out is something that people frequently do if there's a grass strip there. If there's a barrier, they gotta cross that strip in order to come out safely going forward. If they choose the 2-way turn lane, where they only have 1 lane of traffic, it can become problematic to try to back into that road, where it's not so much now in a 4-lane situation, but the 3-lane, it's different. And one of the things on Shawano, I'm not sure how often you guys drive on it, trying to pull into a driveway is always a little terrifying because people come up on you quickly, and especially when they're coming to Oneida. And I think you can see on the drawing here that sort of at the end of the apron for the properties that we have here, the road starts to widen because it actually becomes 5 lanes at Oneida because there's a left turn lane from Shawano onto Oneida. So people go really fast. And you kind of have to hit the driveway at like 20 miles an hour to avoid getting rear-ended a lot of times, and particularly when you're coming from that other side. We have a de facto shared driveway now, right? That it's what it is. So that's kind of it's something that makes this a little bit unique from some of the other side street properties that we see have that grass barrier between the two that kind of establishes it, whereas this one is clearly delineated. I also wanted to mention a little bit about maintenance. So communal maintenance on this one has been very easy because there's literally a giant concrete strip that defines the property lines. So 1130 takes care of the gravel side and then the front part up by that fence, and then 32 and 34 handle their driveway. This photo is also indicative. We measured our driveway with the accuracy that John displayed. We didn't measure theirs to that level. However, we did test measure a couple places, and their driveway averages between 8 and 9 feet. So it's kind of a offset where ours is bigger, theirs is smaller. And most of those, the photos with the potholes and the water that it collects, we've repaired those, and the gravel is just distributed. It just gets taken away really quickly, and cars fall off of those all the time. So you get scraped tires, things like that. And one thing that's always made me scared, and it's never happened yet, so I've been very glad, is there's been lots of kids that have lived at the duplex on the left. And I've always been glad that no one has ever launched themselves off of it into the gravel and hit one of those potholes or some of that bad concrete. So in a lot of ways, the way we're looking at this is it kind of just shores it up for everybody, right? Because economically, it's actually cheaper for us if we didn't do this, but it really helps to make it easier for safety reasons, for ease of like snow removal. I know we talked about that in one of the previous ones. Both of the residents, I've had a medical issue, and then the other resident has as well, that has made it difficult for snow removal in the past. Enabling something like this allows us to get like a snow blower so that I don't like, I'm always worried about like dying at the end of the driveway and just having like people honking at me as they're flying past on Shawano. But so those are some of the kind of the reasons that are part of this here. But if there's any questions about any of the photos, I did want to mention on the previous one to a comment that you had made, the original garage was actually only 4 feet off of the property line, that original one. So it would have had to be shifted regardless in order to come into compliance.
Well, yeah, you wouldn't have to move the garage. If you'd left the garage up and done the driveway, you wouldn't have to move it.
Right, yep. But it was in a state of repair that was, you know, we got those, the flyers that you get for like the vermin, watch out for, you know, the rats and the mice and stuff. And the builders did say, you know, they saw a couple mice that were living in there when they took it down. So, yeah. So any questions about the photos or?
No, I'm good.
Very good. Well, then appreciate the presentation from both of you, and we will deliberate. Thoughts, gentlemen?
So the part that resonates with me on this one is, it's going to be around safety. We've had variances on Shaw Avenue before. A lot of it around the turnaround issue about backing on Shaw Avenue. So to me, preservation of intent, I don't, in this particular case, especially since it's been that way for however old these houses are, I don't think that that's a huge deal here. And especially since this is largely because the garage was moved to, make that compliant. In the exceptional circumstances, I think that would be where we go with the safety idea here. That the idea is that this driveway, and considering the narrowness of the neighbor's driveway, honestly, his driveway worries me more than theirs does, even with the strip, because if they've got between 8 and 9 feet, I think the driveway width is 8 feet normally, I think is the minimum, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. But that's a pretty slim minimum when you have to drive down the entire length of the house. It's not your house, it's about the property. And then preservation of property rights. I think that this falls within that. This allows them to navigate in and on their own property better. I think that's a fairly easy one to do. I don't see any detriment simply because it is improving on an existing situation that's there, it's been there. And then hardship, I don't think there's any difficulty in complying with it, but it's not on economic grounds, and I think the compliance here is, again, safety-based. It's more about being able to get in and out of the property in a safe manner, considering the traffic on Shaw. Although I wasn't unaware of the plans to reduce that to 3 lanes, I was slightly horrified.
Tori, it'll be close
just
to a
one
decade
option.
before that goes through.
Yeah, well, it'd be like Southbridge, you know, maybe my niece will be growing by that point. So, yeah, those are my arguments for that, and, I mean, I think maybe you could maybe shore up hardship a little bit, but I think that I can make this work.
Yeah, I mean, I'm reminded of variance we had not too long ago over on Oneida Street where we were talking about a similar little grass buffer between the two driveways. As a practical matter, I mean, if we force it to be planted, it's going to turn over anyway. I don't know what else additional to add from that perspective. Is anybody comfortable making that motion or any further discussion before we do?
Brian, you got anything?
No, I'm glad you sort of echoed a couple points that were rattling around in my head at least. No, I have nothing to add.
And then I'll move to approve the variance as requested.
Is that motion with the condition that there be a shared driveway easement entered into? Is that?
So two things. One, it's two variances, so the findings of fact for both, it'd be good to know that was. Second, you don't need to. It's part of the overall ordinance. If you're coming forth with a shared driveway plan, you have to have it.
Okay.
So it'd be redundant, but you can do it if you like.
Yeah, then I approve to approve both variances as requested.
I would second.
The motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? So we have 2 opposed. The motion is carried. You're granted. I appreciate you guys coming in.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
You'll work with John on the last details, get everything over the finish line here.
Yes, thank you.
Next item on the agenda, our next meeting is December 15th. I believe that's our regular date and time. And then I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I would motion to adjourn.
I second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? In the absence of our very able chair, all those in favor say bye.
Aye.
Bye.